Hello, hello. Greetings, fellows. Greetings. I am so pleased to see you. So pleased to see you. June Allen here, your racial sobriety mentor, and I teach you how to heal from addiction to self-hate through 12-step recovery and conscious empowerment. Yeah, I'm really excited for you to be here. And yeah, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a few things, just so you can understand a little bit about what is racial sobriety and what type of stuff, that you can expect from this page, and just generally about the work, actually, just so you can have an idea as to what to expect. So first, let's talk about racial sobriety. What exactly is it? So racial sobriety is our ability to have a full acceptance, awareness and understanding and intimate relationship with our cultural identity. Now, is obviously difficult. It can be difficult at the moment because we're still living under a system that is very racist, that is extremely racist. And that system is built on our ability to, or our compulsion to abandon ourselves. That's what the system is about. We're constantly being shamed, constantly being harassed, abused, emotionally, consciously, spiritually. There's so many different ways that non-white people are abused. Sometimes we're aware of it, it's overt, and other times it's a lot more subtle. It's very, very overt. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're being abused. But what racial sobriety does is it brings a lot of that stuff up to the forefront so that we become aware of the abusive situations that are happening to us. And so then we have the ability to be able to set boundaries and take care of ourselves in a really healthy manner. Now, I've been in recovery since 2009. Thank you. My higher power brought me into those rooms in 2009. I'm very, very grateful for that. And throughout that process, I didn't realize that a lot of this stuff around racial sobriety was actually what was underneath a lot of it. I went through the steps. I had a white sponsor, and I got so much out of it. But once I actually completed the steps, that's when I actually began to realize that all this stuff around my racial identity, a lot of the layers had come off by then. And so at that time, I was ready to kind of look at all the stuff around my racial identity. And I realized in recovery that there wasn't anywhere to take this stuff. I couldn't share it with my sponsor because she couldn't identify. And I was just in a lot of shame around talking about this stuff to other people. And actually, I didn't realize that I was so traumatized by anyone that looked like me that I just found it really hard. So I felt a bit trapped because on one hand, I knew that my racial sobriety was the next stage of my growth, this next stage of my healing. But on the other hand, I was so traumatized by what happened in my family that I just found it really, really hard to talk to other Black people about it, talk to other people of color about it. So I had to kind of navigate my way through it, and I did that initially just by asking other people of color, fellows that were already in recovery, if they wanted to talk about this stuff. I didn't want to assume that other people of color were sort of interested in doing this work. But thank God there were other people in recovery that looked like me that wanted to start having these conversations. And so I started to talk about it a lot more, began to unsponsor other people of color as well, began to understand, what my triggers were. That was so painful because it just brought up all of the stuff around my family of origin, brought a lot of stuff up around siblings and just a lot of painful memories. But alongside that was a lot of gratitude. I had the opportunity to actually look at this stuff and begin to get sober. So to cut a long story short, after talking to a lot of people, I did a lot of service in recovery. I wrote a lot of different scripts and stuff for other meetings and, for just general meetings. And I thought to myself, do you know what? It's time for me to start doing this stuff for people of color, because there was not really anything. There was not really anything in recovery that kind of addressed this part of it. And I've spoken to so many people so many people of color in recovery that say that, you know, and this is true for me as well, that underneath all of the acting out, whether it's drinking, whether it's drugging, whether it's relationship addiction, whether it's whatever, food, you know, what's underneath all of that is the pain, the vulnerability of what it means to be a person of color under the system of racism. That's what was at the root of underneath all of the acting out, because we still, you know, in an abusive situation. So it's hard to kind of heal because we're constantly still being abused. So we've got the current stuff that we have to deal with. We've got the stuff inside our families. If the family's internalized a lot of stuff, then we have to address that. And then also for a lot of us, especially, you know, people like myself who descendants from slaves in the Caribbean, from African slaves, then I'm also having to deal with the trauma of all the unheard, unprocessed trauma and pain from that as well. So there's a lot of different angles to cover in this stuff, but I'm so grateful and I'm really thankful to my higher power that I feel that this is what my purpose is to begin to talk about not just my own story, but to be able to interpret a lot of the books that I've read that aren't predominantly about, you know, racial sobriety, but I have the ability to be able to translate a lot of the stuff that I've read so that it's appropriate, so people can identify with it and under the system of racism, or whether it's internalized racism in the family, whether it's internalized thinking within the self. That stuff has been really, really helpful. And, you know, I'm so honored to be of service to so many people that have asked me to, yeah, to show up and do this stuff. So I'm really grateful for it, and I'm really proud that this is my purpose, and I do really enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing people win. I enjoy seeing people go through this process where they find themselves, where they let go of all of the racial codependency, and they let go of the self-hate, and they begin to find their own cultural beauty. They begin to reconnect with their own cultural intimacy, and that is just such a beautiful thing to be able to see. So I'm really grateful, you know, to be part of that process, and I'm really hoping that you're going to allow me to be part of your process also, and to guide you through your own process through the steps. And so thank you for, you know, for allowing me to be part of that process, even in just listening to this video. You know, I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will, you know, take what you like, leave the rest, take what's useful, and that you will use whatever the tools and stuff that I've suggested, that I've experienced, in order to enhance your own growth and your own, you know, beautiful process in your own, you know, the journey back home to your true self. So I'm really happy about that. So let's talk about the solution. The solutions that I've created, if you go, obviously, click below this video, there'll be several things that I've posted there. Some of the stuff that I've posted there is absolutely free. Some of the stuff that I've posted there is paid, but obviously the free stuff is just as good. I wanted you to have an opportunity to really dig in with a lot of the stuff that I've talked about. The video that I've put directly below this one is all about, you know, how to deal with racism in the recovery rooms. And, you know, that's probably been one of the most popular ones because, you know, there's nowhere to take that stuff. You know, if you want to just dive in and start talking more about, you know, what is racial sobriety, and start looking at racial sobriety as it relates to the steps, there's a racial sobriety starter guide there, which you can use. There's a lot more information in there. These are all audios and stuff that I've collaborated together for you to use. There's 3 separate audios, but from steps 1 to 3. There's more information there about racism in the recovery rooms. There's so much stuff in there, but I've really packed it out loud. You know, it's worth a lot more than the money that I'm asking for that. But I just really wanted you to have an opportunity to dig in to it, you know. So, you know, there's that racial sobriety guide, which is really good. And also there's an opportunity for you to think about your cultural top lines. This is something, again, that I was never taught about in recovery. They have the concept of top lines, which are kind of general things. But as a Black woman, as a person of color, it's important also for you to have cultural top lines so that you can start to really dig into that racial intimacy, your cultural intimacy, and to begin to reclaim that part of yourself that quite often is denied under the system of racism. So That's it. I just wanted to say hello and give you a little bit of background about my own recovery process, and to also give you the opportunity to just have a little bit of a peep into some of the things that I'm offering for you today. So have a look below this video at some of the things that I'm sure that you're going to be interested in. You know, all you need to do with a lot of them is just put your name and your email address in, and you'll get loads of stuff to be able to start digging into the work. If you've got any issues at all, and you need to speak to me, you can email me at info@yardofgreatness.com. If you'd like to schedule a call with me, you can go to callme.juneallen.net. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really look forward to being part of your journey. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.